The Young and the Restless Spoilers The Fallout. A family returns for Jordan. The discovery of Jordan's body should have been the end of a long and tormenting chapter, a chance for closure. But for the Newman family, it was just the beginning of another storm, a storm that could unravel everything they had worked so hard to protect. The police had identified the body and reached out to the next of kin to claim it. Jordan's estranged family, her daughter and husband, were now on their way to Genoa City to identify the remains and arrange for her burial. For the Newman family, this news was like a ticking time bomb. Claire and Cole's secret. Among those shaken by the news were Claire and Cole. Unlike the rest of the Newmans, they held a secret, a dangerous one. They had discovered the identities of Jordan's daughter and husband weeks before, and in a moment of reckless desperation, they had reached out to them. Claire and Cole's initial motivation had been curiosity, perhaps even guilt, but now that the family was coming to town, the weight of their actions hit them like a tidal wave. Claire was racked with regret. She sat in her room, staring at her phone, where the messages she had exchanged with Jordan's daughter remained. She replayed their conversations in her head, trying to convince herself that she had done the right thing. But deep down, she wasn't so sure. "What if they find out?" she whispered to Cole during a hushed conversation in the study. "What if they blame us for everything? For her death?" Cole placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder, though his own expression betrayed his unease. "We didn't kill her, Claire. The Newmans did. If anyone has to answer for this, it's Victor." Claire sighed, burying her face in her hands. "But we're a part of this now. We're part of this family. How am I supposed to explain all of this? How do I make them understand that it wasn't supposed to end like this?" Cole didn't have an answer. Victor's dilemma. Meanwhile, Victor Newman had problems of his own. The news of Jordan's family arriving sent his mind racing with possibilities, none of them good. Jordan's death was already a sensitive subject, one the Newmans had gone to great lengths to keep under wraps. Now, with her family entering the picture, the risk of exposure was higher than ever. Victor knew he had to take control of the situation. The truth could not come out. "We'll handle this discreetly," he told Nick and Nikki during a tense family meeting. "The police won't say anything, they've already been taken care of. As far as Jordan's family is concerned, she died in an accident. That's all they need to know." Nick, ever the voice of reason, frowned. "You really think they'll believe that?" "Victor, if they find out what really happened, they won't," Victor interrupted, his voice firm. "And I won't hear any more talk about this. Our job is to make sure they get her body and leave. Nothing more, nothing less." Nikki looked unconvinced. "Victor, you don't know these people. You don't know how they'll react. What if they start asking questions? What if they don't believe the story?" Victor's jaw tightened. "Then we make them believe it." The unknown threat. What Victor didn't know, and what worried him the most, was the nature of Jordan's family. He had heard whispers about her daughter, a young woman who had inherited her mother's fiery personality and cunning intelligence. Jordan had often spoken about her daughter with a mixture of pride and fear, as if she saw herself reflected in the girl's ruthless ambition. Sharon, still haunted by the sighting of the figure outside the window, was convinced that Jordan's family's arrival was no coincidence. "This is it," she told Nick. "This is the revenge she was planning. Even in death, she's trying to destroy us." Nick tried to calm her, but Sharon's paranoia was infectious. Nikki, too, found herself looking over her shoulder, wondering if Jordan's family had come to uncover the truth, or to exact vengeance. The arrival. When Jordan's daughter and husband finally arrived in Genoa City, their presence was impossible to ignore. The daughter, a striking young woman with sharp features and an air of quiet intensity, immediately commanded attention. Her father, though older and seemingly more subdued, carried himself with a similar resolve. Victor watched them from a distance, studying their every move. He noted the way the daughter's eyes scanned the room, her gaze sharp and calculating. "She's dangerous," he thought to himself. "Just like her mother." The family was escorted to the morgue to identify Jordan's body. The sight of her lifeless form was met with a mixture of grief and anger. She didn't deserve this, the daughter said, her voice cold but trembling with emotion. She didn't deserve to die like this. The husband placed a hand on her shoulder, but his own face was a mask of rage. Someone's responsible for this, he said quietly. And we're going to find out who. The threat of vengeance back at the Newman estate, Claire could barely contain her guilt. She avoided Victor and Nikki, afraid that her secret would come out. When she confided in Cole, he tried to reassure her, but even he seemed uncertain. They'll leave after the funeral, Cole said. They'll get their closure, and then this will all be over. But Claire wasn't so sure. If they find out the truth, she began, but her voice trailed off. The thought was too terrible to finish. Meanwhile, Victor prepared for the worst. He doubled the security around the estate, ensuring that no one could get close without his knowledge. We don't know what these people are capable of, he told his head of security. I want eyes on them at all times. A brewing storm as the Newman family braced for the fallout, one question loomed over them all: would Jordan's family uncover the truth? For Sharon, the sighting of the figure outside the window now seemed like a premonition. For Victor, it was a challenge to his authority and control. And for Claire, it was a source of unbearable guilt. But for Jordan's family, it was something far more personal. They had lost someone they loved, and they were determined to find out why. And if the Newmans were responsible, they would stop at nothing to make them pay. Would you like to expand on Jordan's daughter's personality or motivations further? Or explore how the Newman family might try to manipulate the situation? Let me know. The wrath of Jordan's husband. A storm descends on the Newmans. The arrival of Jordan's estranged husband and daughter had thrown the Newman family into turmoil. While on the surface, they were there to claim Jordan's body and arrange her burial, Victor Newman knew better. There was no way their motives stopped there. They wanted answers, and perhaps revenge. As the Newman family braced for the fallout, more details about Jordan's past began to emerge, painting a chilling picture of the man who was now standing on their doorstep. Jordan's husband, the man behind the monster. Jordan's husband, Vincent, was no ordinary man. Beneath his polished exterior lay a history of violence and cruelty. Known for his quick temper and controlling nature, Vincent had terrorized Jordan and their daughter for years. His abusive behavior had driven Jordan to flee, and in her desperation to survive, she had transformed into the ruthless, vengeful woman the Newmans had come to know. Jordan's daughter, Allison, bore the emotional scars of her father's abuse. Though she shared her mother's sharp wit and strength, there was a vulnerability to her that she worked hard to hide. Her relationship with Vincent was complicated. While she resented him for his past actions, she was still bound to him by a sense of loyalty and fear. But Vincent's arrival in Genoa City wasn't about mourning. It was about power, pride, and payback. The man who had once terrorized his own family now had his sights set on the Newmans. Victor's plan for peace. Victor Newman was no stranger to enemies. Over the years, he had faced countless threats, and his survival was owed to his ability to outthink and outmaneuver anyone who dared to challenge him. Yet, this time was different. Vincent was volatile, unpredictable, and consumed by rage. Victor's instincts told him that Vincent was dangerous, and his first priority was to neutralize the threat. While he outwardly maintained his composure, behind the scenes, he was working to secure a deal that would send Vincent and Allison packing. I'll offer them a settlement, Victor told Nikki and Nick during a tense family meeting. A generous amount, enough to put this entire mess to rest. They'll take the money, and they'll leave. End of story. Nick frowned. And what if they don't? You think a man like Vincent cares about money? Victor's expression hardened. Everyone cares about money, Nicholas. Even a man like him. But Nikki wasn't convinced. Victor, this isn't just about money for them. This is about Jordan. If Vincent blames us for her death, then we'll deal with it, Victor interrupted. But I won't let this man tear our family apart. Claire's warning. While Victor worked to secure his deal, Claire was growing increasingly uneasy. She had been the first to piece together the truth about Vincent's character, and what she had learned terrified her. "This man isn't here for closure," Claire told the family one evening. "He's here to settle a score. And if we're not careful, he'll destroy us." Nick, though skeptical, couldn't ignore the seriousness in her tone. "What are you saying, Claire? That we should be on guard? We've already got security patrolling the estate." Claire shook her head. "Security won't stop him if he's determined. You don't understand what kind of man we're dealing with. He's manipulative, violent, and he knows how to get what he wants." Nikki, visibly shaken, turned to Victor. "Maybe she's right, Victor. Maybe we need to take this more seriously." Victor sighed, his patience wearing thin. "We're already taking precautions, Nikki. I won't let this man threaten us." But Claire wasn't satisfied. "Precautions won't be enough if we underestimate him," she said. "We need to be prepared for anything. This isn't just about money or revenge, this is about survival." A brewing storm as Vincent and Allison settled into their temporary accommodations in Genoa City, their intentions became clearer. Vincent wasted no time making his presence known, reaching out to local contacts and spreading whispers about his grievances with the Newmans. "They think they can buy us off," Vincent said to Allison one evening, his voice dripping with contempt. "But they're wrong. This isn't about money. This is about respect. About justice." Allison, though wary of her father's motives, nodded in agreement. "They owe us an explanation," she said quietly. "And they owe Mom more than a quick burial and a payout." Vincent's eyes gleamed with a dangerous determination. "They'll get what's coming to them," he said. "One way or another." The Newman family on edge back at the estate, the Newman family was on high alert. The presence of Vincent and Allison in town was like a dark cloud hanging over their lives, and the tension was palpable. Sharon, already struggling with her own demons, found herself spiraling further into paranoia. "This is it," she told Nick. "This is the revenge I was talking about. They're here to destroy us." Nick tried to reassure her, but even he couldn't ignore the growing sense of unease. The family's usual unity was starting to crack under the pressure, and old wounds were being reopened. Victor, determined to maintain control, called another family meeting to address the situation. "This ends now," he said firmly. "We'll finalize the settlement and ensure that they leave Genoa City for good. No more delays, no more uncertainty." But Claire wasn't convinced. "You're underestimating him," she warned. "Vincent won't leave quietly. And if he's anything like Jordan, he's already planning his next move." Victor's eyes narrowed. "Then we'll be ready for him." The threat escalates as the days passed. The tension between the Newmans and Vincent reached a boiling point. Vincent began making veiled threats, hinting at the secrets he knew about the family and their role in Jordan's death. "You think you're untouchable," he said during a tense encounter with Victor. "But everyone has a weakness. Even you." Victor, ever the strategist, remained calm on the surface, but inside, he knew the situation was slipping out of his control. A dangerous game. The arrival of Jordan's family had brought the Newman household to its knees, forcing them to confront the ghosts of their past and the very real dangers of their present. As Vincent's threats grew bolder and Allison's resentment deepened, the family found themselves on the brink of a battle they weren't sure they could win. For Victor, the stakes had never been higher. He was determined to protect his family at all costs, but as the storm around them grew stronger, one question loomed over them all: could they survive the wrath of Jordan's family? Let me know if you'd like to expand on Vincent's strategies or the dynamics between the Newmans and Jordan's family further.